Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sentinel Sports Extra, Cleveland Guardians Weekly Report. No analytics here. We will go over the past week for the Guardians, and we will preview the upcoming week. But last week, was a good week for the Guardians. Of course, they currently sit in first place in the American League Central, 26-22. 4 games over 500, the high water mark for the season. They are 1 game ahead of the surprising Chicago White Sox. And they are 5.5 ahead of the last place Detroit Tigers, where they head tonight. So, but last week they, played 6 games. I predicted they would go 3-3. They ended up going 5-1. They had a really good week. They swept the Angels. They beat them Monday night 7-2. Then they beat them on Tuesday night 3-2. And then they beat them Wednesday night 4-2. But let me remind you before we go any farther that this show is brought to you by CT Roofing and Power Wash, the official roofer of the Lake County Sentinel. They can help you with your siding, your roofing. They power wash. They can power wash your deck, your house, your anything. They're really good at this. And they also do demolition. So give them a call at 440-278-0506. They can also help you file an insurance claim for your roof or your siding. So getting back to this, after the Guardians swept the Angels, then they opened a weekend series on Friday night with the Reds. They dropped game 1, 7-6, but then it was all positive after that. They won the second game 7-4 on Rajai Davis bobblehead night. The whole weekend they celebrated the 2016 World Series team. A lot of the guys from that team came back. And so that was pretty cool. I just got to say, anybody who doesn't think it's a big deal to celebrate when you made it to the World Series, you're kind of a jerk. Yeah, they didn't win it, but it was still very exciting. And if you don't think it was, then as I said, you're probably a jerk. So like I said, the Reds won game 1, the Guardians won game 2, 7-4. And then yesterday's slugfest, most of the slugging done by the Guardians, when they hit 6 home runs and won the game 10-3. DeLauder hit the first, Manzardo hit the second, then Manzardo hit the third, then Martinez, Rocchio, and then Jose Ramirez finished it off with a home run. But this team is hitting for some power. We'll go over that later when we get to the statistics. But this week, remember this week, they head to Detroit to play the Tigers. I'm sure those Tigers fans are going to be in a real good mood since, the Cavs pretty much humiliated the Pistons last night. I mean, they absolutely humiliated them in their own arena. So I'm sure Tigers fans are just going to be real happy to see Clevelanders tonight. But tonight, Slade Ciccone will go against Framber Valdez. Yeah, that's Framber Valdez, who pitched a no-hitter against the Guardians. But he's gotten in a little trouble this year, not knowing how to act. He was suspended. But he'll go tonight against Ciccone, so he doesn't really – Valdez probably doesn't have to pitch very well to win tonight. And I'm not going to give Ciccone credit for one good start because you got to put more than one together. But then tomorrow night at 6:40, It'll be Parker Messick against right-hander Kiter Montero. And, Messick, he's got to be in contention for Rookie of the Year. Pitchers rarely win it, but he's got to be in contention. Wednesday will be another 6:40. Tanner Bybee will face to be determined. The Tigers, that clever AJ Hinch, he's clever. Well, at least he thinks he is. He hasn't named his starter for Wednesday, but Thursday we know the matchup. At 1:10, it'll be a businessman special. Joey Cantillo will take the mound for the Guardians, and then Casey Mize will be on the mound for the Tigers. So then, the Guardians will take off and head a couple states over to the east to take on the Philadelphia Phillies, who are red hot right now. So, that can't be denied. But I think the probables for the Guardians should be Gavin Williams on Friday, Ciccone on Saturday. Oh, that should be fun. It's the Phillies. And then Parker Messick on Sundays. I would have to think the betting line for the runs that Ciccone will give up against the Phillies is possibly 10 or over. I mean, I just can't see him getting out of the second inning against the Phillies. Seriously, I just can't. He's just not good. So, but let's head to some statistics. The Guardians pitching staff is still 10th in baseball. They did lower the ERA, 0.02 points from 3.88 to 3.86 over the week. The starters ERA actually went down, and they dropped a spot. They're now 7th ranked in Major League Baseball in starters ERA at 3.77. Last week, they were ranked 6th at 3.70. So the bullpen ERA, though, is up 3 spots from last week, and the bullpen ERA improved 0.17. They're almost under 4. They're exactly at 4.0, 4.00 now, down 7.17 from last week. And it was just 4 weeks ago, the bullpen ERA was 4.55. So the bullpen is starting to come together. And once that bullpen comes together, other teams better watch out, because you better get to the Guardians in the first 6 innings or you're not getting to them at all. The offense, their batting average actually went up 1 point to 232, but they dropped in the rankings 4 spots, believe it or not. So the slugging, the Guardians' slugging percentage is now, let's see where that ranks, folks. It's just so much information, now. But the Guardians slugging they rank 20th with a 378 slugging percentage. So they fell 3 spots, but they went down 0.09 points. Their on-base percentage is 327. They rank 8th in baseball. Last week they were 14th, 15th. So they raised it 4 points, and they moved up a spot. And they've moved up actually 8 points in the last 2 weeks. So that's really good that the on-base percentage has gone up. Their OPS is the next thing we'll look at. And their OPS is 705. It dropped, I believe. It dropped 5 points from last week, where they were 7-10. They ranked 14th. Last week, they were also 14th. So runs scored. Last week, they were 15th. Let's see where they are this week. They have scored. They're now 11th. They were 11th in runs scored. So they moved up 4 spots. And they scored 65 runs this week. Is that right? That's a lot of runs. I don't think they scored 65 this week. I must have had last week's number wrong because they scored a lot, but they didn't score 65. Well, the week before, they didn't hit at all. So that's good. Home runs. Last week, they ranked 15th, and they had 35. Let's see where they are now. They are, yesterday didn't hurt, I'll tell you that. They're ranked 13th, and they have 50 home runs. So they're only 18 behind the leader, which of course is the Yankees. But so they moved up a couple spots in home runs, and they are, the offense is starting to come around. I think more consistently playing these Angel Martinez really for the Guardians. I think that let's make sure see if everybody qualifies. You got to qualify. Actually, we have all players, so that's good. Angel Martinez leads the team in home runs with 9. Chase DeLauder now has 7. Jose has 7. Rhys Hoskins has 4. Manzardo now has 4. Brian Rocchio has 4. And Daniel Schneemann has 4. So, this team is starting to hit. They're starting to develop some power, for the people who think you got to hit for power. I think you do in the playoffs. Let's be honest. So I think they've developed the power from within, and I think they're going to really I think these guys are going to develop, and they're going to be a good team. I just wish they'd bring George Valera up, but I hate to say it, there's really no spot for him right now. You can't. I wouldn't want them to bring him up and put him in the PD helping position. I'd like to see him play every day. So I thought that the Rhys Hoskins signing would impact Valera, and I think it has, because I felt like him and DeLauder could alternate DHing, and now that hasn't happened. So, but I think that's it for this week for our report. I was wrong last week again with my prediction when I said 3-3, and they went 5-1. They play 7 games this week. There's no off day. The Phillies are a tough team. And, the Tigers play the Guardians tough too. I don't care if they're down at this point or not. So I'm going to say that the Guardians go 3-4 this week. That's my prediction, that they'll go 3-4. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope my prediction is pessimistic, but that's what I think. I think they'll go 3-4 this week. So they just announced the lineup for tonight. So it looks like it's pretty much the basic lineup that we've been seeing. Stephen Kwan is still in the 6th spot. So, but that's it. I think that's going to be it for today. I hope everybody has a good week, and we'll get back with you next week for Guardians Weekly. But our Two Guys Talk Sports that normally airs on Tuesday night will not air Tuesday night this week because the Cavs will be playing. So it's going to air tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern. It'll stream on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and the TikTok. So I hope you'll join us later tonight when we'll talk about all three teams equally. All three teams, 20 minutes each for 1 hour. So everybody have a good night, good day, and I will see you later.